What's up, bro chachos? It's your boy Tanner Wideman of Barbarian Bite. Today I'm going to be showing you guys my 5 top tips for building muscle mass extremely leanly without putting on too much fat, because it's the summer, you want to be shredded, but you also want to build muscle mass. I got you, let's get straight into it. Okay, now we're gonna start with the very first and most important aspect of this entire thing, and as always, it's your diet. How much of a surplus should you be in? And what I'm gonna recommend you guys to do is actually to only do about a 300 calorie surplus just to start, okay? If you're an ectomorph and you have a really tough time putting on muscle mass, then maybe you can try 500, but for everybody else, 300 calorie surplus, just stick with that. Now the reason for this is very simple. It's actually so that we can put on as lean of muscle mass as possible, slowly adding on muscle mass, because when we try and make these huge surplus, as I've tried to do back in the day, because that's typically when you start to add way more fat than you actually want to. Sure, you'll gain a lot of muscle mass, but it will come with a ton of fat. And then in conjunction with this diet, it is vital that you be getting 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. If you weigh 180 pounds, you're gonna get 180 grams of protein. If you have a tough time getting that protein into you, by all means, go ahead and use a protein supplement, a shake, but again, it's a supplement. Don't go on just a strictly 3 to 4 protein shakes a day. It's not actually that tough to get your protein when you have a high protein diet. Things like tuna, turkey, chicken, ground beef, lean ground beef, all of these great high protein options. Just ensure you're nailing that every day to give your body the resources to build muscle mass. Now listen, one of the main questions I'm gonna get from people is, Tanner, is it okay if I can eat whatever food I want? Can I eat bad food to hit my calorie surplus? Or do I only have to eat clean food? Listen, I'm gonna advise you highly, eat as clean as you possibly can. In my personal experience, when I've tried this in the past, and I've had friends that have tried this in the past, to go the dirty bulk or the we're gonna just eat whatever we possibly can to help us to build muscle mass. But you see, in the first week of doing this, you're gonna not notice too much fat gain. You're gonna go, oh, you know, it's just a rumor, I can get away with this. You're gonna be delusional. But then when the second, the third, and the fourth week start to slowly creep up on you and start to gain way more fat than you were probably hoping originally, that's when you're gonna realize, okay, maybe I shouldn't be eating just strictly fast food and junk food to hit my calorie surplus. Because we all start off with the best of intentions, but you know, after a couple of weeks, you start to get a little bit lazy and you start to eat way more unhealthy food than you should be. So try and keep this as clean as possible. From my personal experience and people I've witnessed who have tried this as well. Thing number dose, still in the diet section. When we're in our calorie surplus, only about 300 calories, just again, so we can add as lean of mass as we possibly can. We want to do this slowly so we don't get fat. I want you to actually be very cognizant of how you eat on the weekend. This kind of ties into the things that I was mentioning in my last video a couple of days ago, but typically when guys are in a, they're pretty strict with their surplus Monday to Friday, but then Saturday and Sunday start to come along and they start eating a lot looser. And they're not just in a surplus of about 300, that's when this surplus can start to stretch to 500, and then 800, and then 1,000 calories completely unknowingly, just because of how poorly they're eating and they're not tracking it and they're not on their A game. So while in your mind you may think, I'm only on a 300 calorie surplus, I've been doing it for 6 weeks, but I gained a lot more fat than I was imagining. Yes, you were on a 300 calorie surplus from Monday to Friday, but the surplus you were hitting on the weekend really made that, if you spread it out across 7 days, your surplus was like 600 calories a day, and your body wasn't able to manage that because of your metabolism or just because of the amount of calories that you were burning. So yes, you were able to put on some muscle mass, but you also started to gain a lot more fat. So be aware of it. Don't completely let go on the weekends, and that's really what's going to be able to help you to put on as lean of mass as you possibly can. Item number 3, use the proper amount of weight for your body weight, and don't try and ego lift way more than you can actually handle. There's 4 main reasons, okay? When you're using too much weight for your body to actually handle, you're not gonna be able to lift it with the muscles, so you're gonna have to utilize momentum to help you to get the weight up. Or you're gonna have to utilize other muscle groups to help you to get the weight up. Muscle groups you're not even trying to target. You're gonna have to start bouncing the weight off your chest if it's in the example of a bench press. And most importantly with all these things, you are putting your body in a position to get injured, so you're not even gonna be able to train for several weeks, and talk about not being able to put on lean mass and actually gain a lot of fat. So put your ego at the damn door. Lower the weights to a weight that you can sustain. Sometimes when guys see me using weight, they go, oh, that's all you're using, 25s? But I am entirely utilizing with a one muscle group that I want to attack, that I want to engage, and guess what? As a consequence, I'm able to make muscular gains double, if not triple the amount of the guys that are going, oh, you're only using that amount of weight? Because I'm training intelligently. Train with intelligence, don't train with your ego. Thing number 4, time under tension. You may notice I've been mentioning this a lot lately, and I'm gonna tell you why. Back back in the day when I was training, I was just trying to get the reps, try and lift the weight, just lift as much weight as I possibly can. I had a lot of ego, and this is why I tell you guys not to do that. I wasn't utilizing time under tension. I was just trying to lift as much as I possibly could. After the past couple of years of me learning a lot more about training and applying the principles of time under tension and utilizing a slower tempo to train for hypertrophy, the growth of my muscles have been so substantial. It's like sped up the rate that I'm able to increase muscle mass, because quite simply, the more time that your muscle spends under a load, that's just going to directly correlate to the more that the muscular growth is going to be able to happen, and the faster that it's going to be able to happen as well. So what do I recommend tempo-wise? I just typically go for a regular repetition on the concentric portion, so either when you're pushing, when you're pulling, when you're curling, or extending. Regular, I try and actually go pretty explosive at that point right there, but I'm focusing on contracting my muscle as hard as I possibly can. At the peak of the contraction, that's when I'm focusing on squeezing the muscle, and I'll do that for about a half of a second to about 1 second, and then on the eccentric, the negative portion of the lift, the most important when it comes to hypertrophy and building muscle mass, that's when I'm actually going to be focusing on keeping the muscle under tension for about 1 to 2 seconds. Focusing on continuing to squeeze the muscle as the load is slowly coming down. Trust me, apply those 2 weightlifting tips on top of the diet tips that I mentioned right there, lean muscle gains are going to happen ridiculously fast. Now the 5th tip for lean muscle mass, you don't gain too much fat. Listen, when you are trying to build muscle mass, you're going to be in a calorie surplus. And as a consequence of the calorie surplus, you will unfortunately just gain some body fat. That's why I recommend going for a lower calorie surplus just to start off so that you don't gain too much fat. But as I said, the fat is going to be inevitable. So to handle the fat that does tend to accumulate, I'm going to recommend you guys actually do about 1 to 2 HIIT cardio sessions per week. And you always want to do it at the end of the workout so it doesn't impede on your lifts if you were to do it before your actual workouts. Because I've gone through periods where I say, I'm not going to do any cardio, I'm not going to do any fat burning activity because my focus is only on building muscle mass. Why would I do any of that cardiovascular activity? And as a consequence, I did actually gain a little bit more fat than I had originally wanted to. Ever since I've switched from that mentality and then added in about 1 to 2 cardio sessions per week while I'm focusing on building lean muscle mass, as lean of muscle mass that I possibly can, that's what really keeps a lot of that fat loss at bay while I'm still able to simultaneously build an incredible amount of lean muscle mass, especially if you're nailing your 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight and you're in your calorie surplus. Again, slight calorie surplus if you're just beginning, 300 calories. Start right about there. However, I am going to make an exception here. If you're an ectomorph and you have an incredibly fast metabolism and it's really hard for you to put on muscle mass, avoid the cardio by all means. Your body has a tough enough time as it is trying to maintain mass and then obviously to build mass. If you throw in cardio with that as well, you are really going to be fighting an uphill battle. So there you guys go. 5 very simplistic but very powerful tips that are going to help you guys to build as lean of muscle mass as you possibly can with as minimal body fat as well. If you made it this far in the video, be sure to leave your birthday month down in the comments section. Mine is October, so you will see that pinned at the top. I like to troll the rest of the comment section and also to see who actually made it this far. So birthday month down below. Other than that, guys, I really hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, then be sure to give your boy a like down below. Smash that like button, fuck it up, hit it twice if you can. If you got more than 1 Google account, go and log into all your Google accounts, fuck that like button right up, and also be sure to subscribe for weekly workout tips and nutrition tips that you will not want to miss. Thank you so much for joining me, you guys. I will see you in the next video.